Hi, I'm Eduardo Norette with Campus Reform. Today we're talking to students and young Americans about Black Lives Matter. With many rightfully pointing out that the organization and the movement are more than just pushing for racial equality, we're going to talk to some of the young Americans about those differences and see if it changes their minds at all about Black Lives Matter. All right, so what are your thoughts on Black Lives Matter and the movement?
I think the movement is very well deserved. I think that what they're doing, they are completely entitled to what they're doing.
I totally support the movement, and I think that all Black lives should matter and that no lives matter until Black lives matter.
I think that it is something that's long overdue.
I think all the movements and protests are justified.
Racism is still part of the country, and it shouldn't be that hard to just recognize as everybody as equal.
People who kind of disagree have pointed out a couple things in recent days saying, it's not that we disagree that Black Lives Matter, it's we disagree with some of the other things the organization wants to do. So I'm going to give you guys a couple examples and see if it changes your mind at all about Black Lives Matter. On the organization's website, Black Lives Matter, they talk about wanting to eliminate the Western nuclear family. So what do you think about that? Does that change your mind about Black Lives Matter at all?
No, it most definitely does not change my mind about Black Lives Matter.
Well, if you're talking about what the traditional view on what a family is, like a two-parent, heterosexual marriage, then yeah, because tradition changes, not every marriage and family is going to be the same. There's some people with single moms that they can't choose to have that.
The issue at hand is the police brutality and how it's affecting Black lives mostly, and I don't think that them wanting to eliminate the Western, I don't know what you called it, I don't believe that it doesn't really matter.
One statistic shows that people who grow up in two-parent household, the nuclear family structure, they're less likely to live in poverty, they're less likely to go to jail, they're less likely to commit suicide. So do you think maybe the organization should be supporting those things?
No, I most definitely think the focus is elsewhere. There's nothing really to it,
No, it doesn't change my mind, but of course I definitely do agree with that. A two-person household does bring about a different future for children.
I don't see how they would dismantle. I think they're just trying to prove that there's different types of families.
The next example is pretty big here in Miami from some of the people I talked to today. One of the Black Lives Matter co-founders has cozied up to Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, who is a dictator. She was photographed with him. She's gone to Venezuela to help oversee the elections. And especially in a place like Miami, I know a lot of Venezuelans. I'm not sure if you do, but Venezuelans have had to flee that dictatorial regime. Knowing that one of the founders thinks the Venezuelan dictator is a good guy and everything, does that change your outlook on the Black Lives Matter organization?
She does need to be educated. I do know, I'm Cuban, I do know a lot of people that looked up to Fidel Castro, and he was like, wow, he does so many things for his country, and in reality he doesn't, and so many people don't know that, and they idolize people that they don't educate themselves on.
I'm actually Venezuelan, and I am aware of this. When I say Black Lives Matter, I don't think only of the organization that's supporting all this or the website. I think of the message behind it and the idea that racial equality is still a problem.
Does that affect the way you view the Black Lives Matter organization at all?
It is, I would say I'm a little skeptical about it, but no, for the most part it doesn't. I think what BLM stands for the most part, is something that needed to happen, so
Maybe sometimes we shouldn't focus on the politics of it.
it would take a lot for me to change my mind.
I could be told a lot of things, but I'll always support Black Lives Matter because at the end of the day, racial equality is important.
Two of the Black Lives Matter co-founders have said that they and a lot of people in the organization are trained Marxists. Marxism is an ideology like we've seen in Cuba, like we see in Venezuela, that has oppressed a lot of people, killed millions around the world. Knowing that they call themselves believers, does that lead you to change your mind about Black Lives Matter at all?
No, it most definitely doesn't. The organization, I don't care what they do in their free time.
If they do have a relation with communism or Marxism or that ideology, of course I wouldn't want to support a movement that supports that. But at the same time, I don't want to say that I completely don't support it, because I'm pro the idea of Black Lives Matter. I'm always going to be pro the idea of racial equality, and I want all people to be equal.
No, I think people are free to believe and support any sort of political party that they choose. As long as they don't impose it.
Even if it's a political party that's killed millions of people?
When you take it into consideration, looking back in history's past, Vietnam, for example, you're going to kill them because they're communist. The same way that we respect their belief system is the same way that they have to respect ours.
I'm Cuban. My family fled because of communism. Like she said, at the end of the day, the movement is about the message.
The main issue at hand, which is police brutality, I completely support it.
How's it going? I'm Eduardo Norette with Campus Reform. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to subscribe to get our latest content, click right here. If you're interested in joining our team as a correspondent or an investigator, click there. And if you want to donate to make sure we can create more great content like this, click right here.